Hello, every citizen in free democratic country. This is 최영재, the spokesman of 비상시국연대 Emergency Crisis Management Solidarity, and your host, Dr. 최성환.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So what is today's topic?
Today's topic is about, today's talk is about South Korea's Moon Jae-in going to London for a G7 summit intended to be held from 11th until 13th June this year. In spite of South Korea not being one of the heads of the government of the member states, consisting of Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom, and the United States.
The G7.
Yeah. Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Boris Johnson, sent a handwritten letter mentioning an official invitation of South Korea to G7 summit to be held in London. And South Korea's current ringleader Moon Jae-in made a special verdict commenting that he will contribute to achieve fruitful results and outcomes.
Oh, good sign.
Yeah.
But as a psychiatrist, as I'm a psychiatrist, Moon seems to be too much elated. Why is Moon so eager and excited, so enthusiastic in attending the 2021 London G7 summit? Moon even received the AstraZeneca coronavirus vaccine on 23rd of March.
Yes, correct.
Ahead of an overseas trip. This overseas trip is the G7 summit.
Yes, correct.
Inoculated the AstraZeneca coronavirus. Even if Moon's age is 68 years old now.
Yes,
he's
correct.
over 65. So, but the AstraZeneca vaccine is known to be apparently hardly effective in seniors over 65.
Yes,
but
correct.
The President Moon inoculated Astra. So there's a lot of stories about Quad and G7 or G11. Multiple terms are used. What I want to know is that, so what's the difference between Quad and G7, which India, Australia, and South Korea is officially invited?
Yes, Quad Plus was actually consisted of original quadrilateral security dialogue and is an informal strategic dialogue between the United States, Japan, Australia, and India, and plus Vietnam, current ASEAN chair, ASEAN acronym Association of Southeast Asian Nations, New Zealand, a member of Five Eyes, Anglo-Saxon Intelligence Alliance comprising Australia, Canada, New Zealand, the United Kingdom, and the United States, founded in August 1941.
Five Eyes.
Yes, Five Eyes. And to one's surprise, South Korea was included in the plus section because South Korea was the most close ally to the United States in the Far East. The United States even tried to bring South Korea into the Anglo-Saxon Five Eyes alongside with Japan and making it a Seven Eyes. Yes. But only to end up into an United States one-sided love toward the current South Korea's Moon Jae-in remnants.
Yes, it's a sad story, isn't it? So here I find an extremely interesting and important status quo circumstances that Xi Jinping's Communist China is neither included in the Quad Plus nor in the invitees of this year's 47th G7 summit in London. China is not included in G7 and plus and Quad and plus. Of course, China is included in G20, but it seems to be a losing face condition for Xi Jinping. But this foreign China is horribly so quiet towards South Korea's participation to the G7 summit.
Correct.
They say it is a face-to-face meeting, not a internet meeting. So the president should be inoculated with the vaccine. So instead of a video conferencing over the internet, they are face-to-face meet, despite the corona pandemic sweeping in Europe.
South Korea's Moon Jae-In regime is well known to the world to such an extent as a vassal state of Xi Jinping's Communist China, interfering the internal affairs in every department of South Korea, making the THAAD, Terminal High Altitude Area Defense Base, located in a conglomerate Lotus previously possessed a Gulf Country Club in Seongju province of Korea.
Yeah, Lotte, the company Lotus Golf Club.
The most famous symbol of bow and scrapes, attitude of Moon's regime toward Xi Jinping's China. On March 17th to 18th, Korea-United States Diplomacy Defense Ministers Conference held in Korea. United States Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin complained of deteriorated living conditions of U.S. soldiers in the THAAD base located at Seongju, Gyeongbuk province, also showing strong dissatisfaction toward the South Korean government, even mentioning this is an unacceptable treatment to one's ally.
This is an unacceptable treatment
to one's ally. Since the first troop disposition on April 2017, 400 U.S. and the Korean soldiers are still lodged at range-shattering container barracks, and depending their meal on combat ration and lacking in heating and hot water, even in the coldest winter season.
Thus, it is a common sense that South Korea's Moon Jae-in regime cannot disobey, defy, or go against the Chinese Xi Jinping's Communist Party.
Yes.
Then, what will be the Moon's role in the 221 London G7 summit? Why does China gets really freaked? China always really gets freaked when South Korea tries to maintain or re-enter the Quad Plus framework or such as SAD or communication of the United States. They get freaked and mad.
Yeah.
But surprisingly, it is a very generous and tolerant attitude to Moon Jae-in's participation in the G7 conference. The reason is that it reminds me of that similar case in the year 2020, last year. That last year, a similar case came up when then U.S. President Donald Trump proposed an expanded G11 summit instead of G7 and invited South Korea as a regular member, not an invitation, regular member in June 2020. Then too, without hesitation, showed much speedy and readily prompt response on June 2nd. Moon Jae-in decided to participate in the G11 summit to be held in the United States. But China never blamed South Korea's act of betrayal even then. But Quad 7 seemed to be a different matter.
He was expected to discuss prospects of South Korea deepening its engagement with the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, or the Quad, consisting of the United States, India, Japan, and Australia. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo visited Tokyo on October 6th for a bilateral meeting with the Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga and Foreign Minister Toshimitsu Motegi. But Pompeo's plan to visit Korea on 7th and 8th,
7th and 8th of
7th
October.
and 8th October was cancelled for ambiguous reason.
For the supposition and deduction of all these reasons and happenings, we cannot but worry about the global situation involving the Korean Peninsula. All we hope is that South Korea, from not falling into a pit, a snare of becoming a permanent subject state of the communist China, Moon Jae-in should never take on the role of becoming a spokesman for, a substitute for Xi Jinping's ambition accomplishment of China's new imperialism expansion.
Correct.
One or more comment about the First Lady Kim Jong-suk. Sightseeing tourism to London. In this kind of troubled times of epidemic, pandemic, and economic crisis, please stay in Seoul. We already know that Moon does not have the English language, but Mrs. Kim Jong-suk speaks English quite well.
Really?
Really. So Moon Jae-in needs Mrs. Kim Jong-suk to speak because Moon Jae-in cannot speak a word in English. Okay. It's rhetoric. So
I don't know.
But anyway, to save the expenses, why not go to the Gyeongin-son? And travel through the Gyeongin-son line, which is a railroad from Seoul to Incheon, is called the Gyeongin-son. So while in her husband's absence going to the G7, she may refresh her time and atmosphere riding the Gyeongin-son train.
Okay.
Go to Gyeongin-son.
Yeah.
Let's go to Gyeongin-son.
Yep. Thank you for watching. Please press like and subscribe so we can produce more worthwhile video for you. Thank you very much.